Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. Today is Monday, May 18, and today is day one of phase zero in the state of Jalisco. Does it feel like a science fiction movie yet? You bet it does. If you're new to this program, my name is Paco, and we get together every morning, 10:30, live, to talk about the latest news, talk about the latest headlines as they relate to our lives here in Puerto Vallarta. We also exchange ideas, comments, suggestions, projects, everything we can to stay inspired, to stay healthy, to stay productive, and to best enjoy our surroundings in whatever way we can these days. Before the pandemic, we used to spend a lot of time talking about Puerto Vallarta, and now here we are. And of course, we look forward to being able to enjoy more and more of our surroundings as we move forward. As I see that you're all coming in, before we say hello, I just wanted to thank you for yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday Fun Day, and you, friends, indulged me the pleasure of being a little silly and sharing silly news. And not only did I get a lot of favorable comments from you, but I also ended up having a really wonderful Sunday-like day. Of course, I usually spend my Sundays at Hotel Mercurio because of Paul's very funny Beers, Boys, and Burgers party, which of course will come back when the time is right. But I ended up almost forcing myself to having a Sunday-like day, and I did a little cooking and I did some reading. And thanks to you, I ended up having a really wonderful day. Of course, today is Monday, and we're going to dedicate most of our time talking about this new phase zero. As you know, a few days ago, we announced how the state of Jalisco detaches itself from the general path that the federal government is taking as we move forward, getting closer to reopening our industries. And the state of Jalisco established its very own plan. And we've detailed that in the very long stream that we had sometime last week. And now the governor has provided us with additional tools to understand what happens. So we're going to dive in, and I see a lot of good mornings from everybody. Good morning, Gail, Mary, Craig, Rita, uh, Claude. Thank you for sharing your pickle. You know, people that are new here might not get that, but you're welcome. If you're new to this program, please type the word new so that we can welcome you accordingly. Pam, it's always great to see you. It'll be interesting to hear your take on some of the news that I'm going to share, because you may have a more specific idea as to what that looks like. What did I cook? I made an awesome casserole that had layers of thinly sliced potatoes, bacon. I had mixed some sour cream with a small can of chipotle peppers to come up with a spicy chipotle um, sauce made out of sour cream. So I had layers of potato and bacon and ham and cheese and this special sour cream mixture. And I threw it in the oven for 90 minutes, and it was a bomb, and it was really good. And it went well with the ground beef that I made 2 days prior. So that's what I cooked. But enough of that. I want to start with today's main topic, and it's pretty much the only topic that we will embrace today, because I know that it is very important to many of you who are business owners and join us day after day. For the rest of you and us that don't have a business that opens its doors to the public, stay put, because this information will probably be important or useful to you at some point. So let me start by saying that on Saturday, um, four members of the government's team that is supervising the economic reactivation in the state gave this very good 40-minute press conference. This happened on Saturday, and I will not play it today, but I will leave you the URL because it gives a lot of the information that I'm going to summarize today. And I'm going to summarize today largely thanks to Tim Longpre from PVRPB, who sent me this bulletin from COPARMEX. And this bulletin is pretty much the summary that I would have had to write had I summarized that video myself. I did watch the video, so everything that I'm going to show you now is pretty accurate as far as what follows next. But I want to thank Tim Longpre for sending this to me yesterday and for helping me streamline my work for this morning. So, first of all, just a quick what is this business? COPARMEX is actually the it translates to Confederation of Business Owners in the Republic of Mexico. Confederación Patronal de la República de México. COPARMEX is a union of business owners, large businesses, small businesses. I imagine that if you're a business owner in Puerto Vallarta, either you have knocked on their door or they have knocked on yours. One way or another, this is a federal entity with a local representative, and they often organize all kinds of activities to promote businesses and good business practices in the state, obviously in the rest of the country. So let me go back. I'm sorry. Let me go back to this because this is this is what we have to do, and I'm going to translate this word by word because I realize this is important to many of you. It might be a little clumsy because I'm translating on the go, but I want to make sure that you are getting this information. So this bulletin, excuse me, announces that there will be 7 steps for validating and implementing the protocols for opening. In other words, you're not opening, you are going to follow these 7 steps, and once you follow the 7 steps, you're going to open. It re-emphasizes that phase 0 is to implement these protocols and get to know the measures that need to be taken in every business amongst the business employees. And it says that all the non-essential businesses will not be able to open until you obtain the validation and a special sticker from the authorities. Now, we already know what these businesses are or are not because we discussed them last week. We know that if you're a disco or a bar or all these places where a lot of people congregate, you're not allowed to open yet or even consider any of these protocols just yet. Although you might want to take a look at them just so that you know what's coming later on. So in a nutshell, everything that we talked about in the very long session that we had, the very long broadcast that we had last week, all of that stuff still applies. Now, before I start with the actual steps, the first step continues to be the fact that you need to go into this website. Let me call it up. This website, which we announced last week, and this is where you will find all the protocols for your particular type of industry. Now, we've already talked about this, but I want to bring it up again because you will notice there are more protocols up on the website now. There is one for services. This is a general one. There's one for services. There's one for businesses. There's one for churches. There's one for tourism, the industrial sector. But they've added one for child care centers, and they've added one for motels. I suppose this is not hotels, but this is motels, as in the let's have a quickie kind of motel. So I find it interesting that they would rush to do this. I suppose a lot of people need to use motels. And then there's one for beauty shops and barber shops and things like that. So you have already, by the book, looked at these and you have already seen what your protocols are. So what happens next is you go first to register your business, and this is going to be at this website here, and I'm going to leave you the link in the show notes. So you're going to go into this website and you're going to enter your email address and your RFC. If you don't know what an RFC number is, you're probably not operating your business illegally. I mean, legally. I would not hold that against you, but this is clearly one instance in which if you want to move forward as a business person in Mexico, you're going to need to register your business so that you can obtain an RFC number. And there are all kinds of places where you can obtain information about this, but your primary source should probably be your accountant. So you're going to go into this website, you're going to enter your email address in your RFC, you're going to receive an email address so that you can establish your account, and you're going to be able to enter the website. Now, what does the website look like? In case you're wondering, let me call it up because I went to see it, and it looks like this. Of course, I didn't fill out anything because I don't have to just yet, but this is what you do. So if you're not registered, you're registered here and you enter all the information and you're able to access this website. Back to the PDF that I'm sharing with you. Once you enter the system, you're going to have to enter all the information for your business, the general location, what the business is about, and you're going to need to enter a person that is going to be the liaison between your business and the Secretary of Health. Number three, you're going to identify what kind of business you are. You need to let the system know whether you're an industry, a business, a service, or whether you're tourism related. And then you are going to go through a checklist in which you're going to review and confirm that you have seen this particular checklist for your type of business and that you understand what you have to do and that you've checklisted all the steps on this particular type of business that you happen to have. You will not be able to continue through this process until you've checklisted everything on the list. Okay, so number five, the system is going to generate a letter of commitment that you are going to have to sign. This is something that it's a document. The system is going to produce it. You're going to download it. You're going to print it, and you're going to sign it. And then number six, you're going to return the signed letter or commitment letter to the system, and you have to do this by either scanning it or taking a screenshot of it and uploading it to the system. They submit a telephone number in case you have problems. And once you do that, once you upload your letter where you have essentially every checklist item that you checked before, you have essentially committed yourself to following. Once you do that, you're going to upload the letter, and somebody from the Secretary of Labor or from the Secretary of Economic Development is going to come to your business and is going to deliver you in person the sticker that you need to be able to return to open according to the guidelines that we already know. Most of the businesses should be at 50% capacity and all the safe distancing stuff that we are already familiar with. So when I was looking at the video that I showed you before that was released by the staff of the governor on Saturday, one of the first questions that they asked is, it was, how long will it take for these stickers to come back to me once I have submitted all this paperwork? And they did not have a specific answer. I would imagine it'll take a few days. I don't know if it'll be easier in smaller towns because there are many people requesting the reopening papers or the certification, or whether it'll be easier in a larger city like Puerto Vallarta. But clearly, this is something that the state government is going to be doing in conjunction with each one of the municipalities and the businesses and so forth. I'm sorry, Claude, you're asking, I'm trying to keep track of what you're saying. My volume is high. If I raise my volume anymore, it will overload in my computer and it'll distort. So my suspicion, Claude, is that you need to raise the volume in your device. Is anybody else having problems with volume? Please let me know because I'm looking at my indicator here and my level is pretty much as high as it can get before it starts distorting. Um, Good. Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you, Paul. Okay, moving right along. Um, then this paragraph here says that the page is going to be available starting Monday, the 18th. That is today. And I showed you the page, and the page is ready to take all the information that you have. And then it does say here that the time required to validate and deliver your sticker can vary according to the capacity of the authorities. Let us hope that for our own sake, um, we will be able to get these stickers back from the government as soon as possible. Then this underline says if you don't comply, your businesses could be liable for financial penalties or even be closed down. Um, so what this means is that the commitment is going to be essential for businesses to be able to open. In the press conference, it was also mentioned that the commitment will shift or could shift according to how the pandemic continues to develop as we move forward. Hopefully, I mean, the general idea is that all these measures will lead to a continued decrease in coronavirus cases and that we will be able to relax some of these measures as we move forward. Moving on with this particular document, it talks about the testing in businesses. Last week, we talked about how businesses that have 100 employees or more will have to test with a certain frequency, and smaller businesses will have to do the same. There are different mechanisms according to the number of employees that you have, but essentially, and this is also based on that press release, a press conference from the weekend, the government is going to rely on continued reporting from businesses of all sizes on uh, the temperature of your employees, the body temperature, whether there are cases, if there are random testing requirements. There's going to be someone in your company that's going to have to report back to the government. So, in a nutshell, every business in the state becomes part of the statewide and ultimately the nationwide monitoring system of COVID-19 cases. Um, and again, there's more information about uh, these procedures in the official website for the government, which is coronavirus.jalisco.gov.mx, and that's the website that we've been talking about. So again, it says here that if you have less than 100 employees, um, random tests will be taking place in your business every 21 days. The tests will be handled in modules by the University of Guadalajara. We know that they have a module at the Cook campus in Ixtapa. And it is also going to be handling whatever private labs that the government sees fit. This says here that businesses will have to have a daily register of health conditions of your staff, and you have to deliver this through a weekly report. So what I'm reading here is we are taking the temperature of all the staff members on a daily basis, and once a week we are submitting, excuse me, we are submitting a weekly report. Needless to say, symptomatic cases should be reported immediately. Now, if you have more than 100 collaborators in your staff, um, You're going to have to do one test every 15 days, and the test will be done in private labs authorized by the state. And you're going to have to do daily registry of health conditions, um, and again do all the reporting that I've mentioned before. So as we can see, there's a lot of requirements, but this is all going to be fundamental and necessary for any business that can open to start operating. So let me take a quick look at some of your questions to see if there's anything I can answer. This is, of course, very challenging for all of us, and I'm trying to be as helpful as I can. Let me get past the what did I cook business. Um, Claude misses beers, boys, and burgers at Mercurio. Of course we do. Um, we will join you in. Da, 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 da. Let's see. We have a new person. Good morning. Buenos dias, Fernando. It's good to see you. Fernando's a good friend. Welcome to Coffee and Headlines. Um, yes, there are leftovers and they're going to last for the whole week. Uh, Tim, again, thank you very much. You are as much, you and everybody here is as much a part of this community, and everybody's contributions help us so much move forward. Um, Lots of comments about volume. This is good to hear. Um, will the reglamentos be looking for the sticker? Oh, I can imagine they are, Sean. I can definitely imagine they are because, and this I'm not speculating. This is from the information I saw. Um, One thing is getting your sticker, and then another thing is them coming back periodically to check in on you. The government is expecting every business to make very firm, very serious commitments to keep controlling the pandemic. So you've done all the homework, somebody has come to your business, you've gotten your sticker, um, and you put it up, and that does not mean that from that moment on, you're able to disregard safe distancing and all these things that are important. So yes, reglamentos or somebody is likely to be visiting randomly in the future, and what will happen then really depends on how willing and able you are to keep with all these measures that you're expected to meet according to your business type. Um, is this process you're speaking of for non-essential businesses only or for all businesses? Kathleen, that is an excellent question because the way I am reading it is businesses that are essential. In other words, businesses that the government has already deemed that can be open, such as supermarkets and all these places that we've been shopping at, convenience stores, et cetera, it would seem to think that they are off the hook. Um, and I don't know that they are or not. What I do know is in your particular case is you are an ice cream shop. Licks is an ice cream shop. You were not essential before. But what was announced last week is that because you are part of the chain of supplies, because you sell something that one could ordinarily find at the supermarket, then you are now able to open if you follow these guidelines. So again, these guidelines, from what I'm reading, are for all the businesses that now can open or can open if they have followed all the protocols that we've mentioned from this particular website. So you were not able to open before if you were a real estate agency, but now you can if you follow the guidelines. You were not able to open before if you were an ice cream shop, a bookstore, all these other businesses that got a little bit more close to being able to open can open, but if you follow the guidelines. Barbara asks if the sticker comes before June 1st, can a small shop open before June 1st? If the sticker came tomorrow, you could open tomorrow. But be aware of the fact that for you to be able to open, you need to go through that whole entire procedure that I just outlined. If the virus vanished in June 1st, and you happen to have gone through all this craziness to be able to open, I'm sure you'd be pretty pissed. But this is what businesses need to do to open. Will this change in a month? Will this change in November? For example, there are businesses that would not have opened during the summer months anyway. A lot of Puerto Vallarta businesses tend to do that, but nobody knows. Nobody knows what it's going to look like in the future. This is just what happens during these 2 weeks, so that come June 1st or the beginning of June, you will have had time to do all your homework and all the things that you need to do to be able to open. So I'm hoping this is clear. This is about as clear as I can make it given the information that is available. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to share these URLs with you. I'm going to share the interview, I mean the press conference that was given by the government, although it has been shared elsewhere if you want to take a look at it. The advantage of seeing is that it has a few more graphs and things that can help explain all these procedures. Um, Randall Scott asks, will restaurants be able to offer live music? I don't see why not, as long as you keep in mind whatever safe distancing protocols that are needed. And this changes a lot of things for a lot of people. The idea of cozy restaurants where all the tables are really close to one another, that is not going to be part of the new normal. We talked about specific guidelines of how many people you could have in your business for every 7 square meters, I think it was. So if you have a space large enough so that you can have a musician or two, and there is enough distance between them and your patrons, and if you're going to have a 5-piece band, you better have a large stage so that you can do that. But in a nutshell, the government's not here to tell you what you can or cannot do in your business according to the common sense guidelines for any kind of business. What the government is telling us is that you can do whatever you used to do as long as you're following safe distance guidelines. um, One more thing that I want to mention from the headlines that I gathered for today happens to do with the state of Nayarit. People have been asking me about the state of Nayarit, and it was this morning that the governor of Nayarit finally gave some kind of statement about what's going to happen um, north of our state border. Unfortunately, I didn't get this until 10 minutes to 9, and I was busy getting ready for today. So I didn't have enough time to take a close look at what's going on in Nayarit. But this will be part of my homework for tomorrow. If there's anybody here that is conducting business in Nayarit and is curious about to what's going on over there, I will take a look at this and I will gather more information about Nayarit during the day so that I can give you a clear idea of what's to come. In the meantime, um, it is what it is. I wonder, let me ask you this, if anybody has had a chance to go to supermarkets this morning. One of the things that I'm personally intrigued about is now that phase zero has started, I wonder if stores like Walmart and Costco and Sam's and Soriana and so forth have lifted the restrictions on some of the products that they sell. I need to get some underwear and t-shirts. It's kind of silly that you can't go into the supermarket and get some things that for me are essential, but maybe for the government they're not. Anyhow, I'm just curious if anybody has had a chance to go to supermarket this morning. It's a little early. I know that I have to go to supermarket in a little while, so I'll be keeping an eye on that, and I will be reporting about this in tomorrow. I see that Shelley tells us that she read that it was allowed, and this is good to know. Um, on an aside, I want you to know, for anybody that happens to know the wonderful Ken and Kari Sirak, who used to be who are the founders of the Boutique Theater here in Puerto Vallarta. Now the boutique is in the hands of Nacho Daddy. I heard from Ken and Kari. Well, I heard from Ken, and they are doing well. Of course, we send them all our love and appreciation. They are very, very dear members of our community. And just as I'm having this conversation with you, I am seeing that Ken wishes that he was here. So we should send them all good vibes if you know who they are. And if not, please know that they're important members of our community. And um, and this is what I have for you. No time today, unfortunately, for more fun uh, headlines, but hopefully tomorrow we will have more time to do a little bit of the serious, important stuff and more of the casual stuff that we enjoy doing on a daily basis. As always, I thank you for your continued support, whether it is through buying me coffees or or by becoming a member of this program and the website. Your support goes a long way for me to be able to continue doing what I'm doing. But there's many ways to support Coffee and Headlines and what we do here. Every time you mention this to a friend of yours, it helps. It makes a difference. Every time you share the broadcasts, it makes a difference. Hopefully, what we're doing here is ultimately uh, creating the foundation of a community that is more connected and more mindful of things that sometimes we overlook, like just smiling at one another and enjoying the world as it is and taking good care of it. So, on that note, I am going to wish that you have a day that is full of health and full of love and full of inspiration and creativity. And I hope to see you again sometime tomorrow. It's time to cue the little house and have a wonderful day. And stay cool. It's becoming humid again. Jesus.